strengthen their NCAA tournament hopes. Right now, both teams at or near the bubble, and we have limited time, so be unusually brief and say something interesting.
Well, first of all, if you dive on the floor, I'm not picking you up. Miami's got to defend, and they have to defend the three-point line. Notre Dame, a very good three-point shooting team, and they have to be especially mindful of Matt Farrell, the senior, who is coming off a 37-point game against Boston College. He went 10 of 12 from three-point range. That's not the Matt Farrell that played a week ago against North Carolina. 37 is a big number.
Indeed it is. The 10 made threes tied Kyle McIlharney's single-game Notre Dame record. The Irish in white controlled the tip. Farrell off to Martinez Gebben, who's been red hot lately. Now John Mooney, T.J. Gibbs, Nikola Jogo, and they've all touched the ball.
This is a team that really moves the ball without Rex Pfluger into the lineup. That means that Jogo is going to have to hunt his shot, but he's also going to have to play a complete game.
With the shot clock running down, Jogo confidently to the bucket. Gebben missed the putback but was fouled. Ted Valentine with the call. He's working with Bert Smith and John Higgins, and we're delighted as always to be working with Allison Williams.
Delighted to be working with you as well, Mr. McDonough. You know, head coach Jim Larrañaga for the Miami Hurricanes said that having lost 3 in a row, his team is in a unique position and must recover mentally and physically. And as a head coach, he's worried about their struggles in all 3 areas. Offensively, scoring just 58 points, defensively, giving up 64, and rebounding, where they are negative 16 in the rebound margin. That's why you're seeing this different lineup tonight. You've got Ibuka Izundu making his first start. Jaquan Newton back in the starting 5. Coach Larrañaga said it gives them an older, bigger team that he hopes will get back to defending the way they're capable of and being better on the boards.
Gebben, the 2 free throws. Thank you, Allison. How about Jim Larrañaga, 68 years old? Apparently joked with his assistants that after they shot that video, he gave that terrific pep talk that he was happy the players remembered to help get him up off the floor.
That would be a real bummer if you dove on the floor at age 68 and your players didn't pick you up, they didn't get it. A little 2-3 zone for Notre Dame because Miami runs a lot of ball screen action, and Notre Dame at the start doesn't want to have to go out there and guard all that, especially with their big guys.
Well, that'll help their offense come back to life if Lonnie Walker, the 4th, talented freshman out of Reading, Pennsylvania, if he can find the range. He's been off target a bit lately, but still averaging 11 points per game.
He's 2 of his last 16 before that one for three-point range. He is a highlight reel athletically, but can also shoot it.
Martinez Gebben backing in, and a nifty shot. They put Izundu in the starting lineup for the first time for his defense, and he was not able to stop Gebben on that move to the bucket.
Hardest thing to guard is one-on-one in the post. And Martinez Gebben uses his body very well, and he can shoot over his right or his left shoulder. And he's been about as efficient as any big guy in the country. Offensive rebounds, stick backs. He's shooting 72% over his last several games.
Yeah, last 4 games, all of them in double digits. Nice runner made by Jaquan Newton, who was a starter earlier in the year. Was taken out of the starting lineup in favor of Chris Likes, but again with an eye toward defense, particularly guarding this man, Matt Farrell. Newton back in the starting lineup.
Gives Miami a little bit more experience on a big-time scorer like Matt Farrell. Good pass
to Gebben, and he scores. Gebben again doing great work inside. And if he scores in double figures tonight, that'll be 5 straight games, which would be the longest double-figure streak of his career.
Well, man-to-man right now for Notre Dame. Boy, Gebben made a terrific catch on that last play. That is not an easy pass to catch. Right now, for Notre Dame, it's all about keeping Miami out of the paint. You cannot allow them to drive and catch a piece of the paint. They want to get downhill every possession.
And the 2 rattled home by Jaquan Newton. He has 4. Earlier this year, he went over 1,000 career points for Coach Larrañaga, the 38th Miami Hurricane to reach that milestone. He's now 32nd in career points.
Well, that's 1,000 points. That's the benchmark of a great college career.
Because you had 1,003, if I remember correctly.
62, 1,062, and they were hard-earned.
You have just 62 or 1,062?
1,062.
Newton. And that shot won't drop for DeJuan Huell. He's another of the Hurricanes slumping of late. And as Jim Larrañaga pointed out today, Jay, when we visited with him, A lot of teams are going to struggle back-to-back games against Virginia and Syracuse, two of the best defensive teams in the country. Farrell, the nice drop off to Gebben.
Matt Farrell is doing a very nice job of penetrating, not necessarily for his shot. While he can shoot those, he's giving it up for the better shot after he draws the defense. There's that ball screen action, and with Izundu and Hewell in the game at the same time, they can get in more to a high-low.
Lawrence, Izundu a fumble, shot clock at 6. Izundu banks it home. Junior from Charlotte, originally from Lagos, Nigeria. Went to high school in the Charlotte, North Carolina area.
That was a pretty move. Put it on the floor, spun off Gebben, shot it with the left hand. There's that double drag up top, good trap. And a really nice recovery after you throw out of the trap. Obviously it's 4-on-3 on the back end of that, and there was a very good recovery.
That time they deflected the pass away from Farrell to Gebben, and Newton scores. Miami bench wanted to foul, they don't get it, but the Canes on the road have a 3-point lead.
Well, he did get hit and he was fouled, they just didn't call it, but a really good job at getting that steal. You can't throw across your body cross court like Matt Farrell did. He will have one of those turnovers, seems like every half.
Mooney had kind of an up and down run the last few weeks. He's had some double-digit games, and he's had a few where he's done very little. Good catch by Hill, and a great contest by Gebben at the rim.
Gebben is way more athletic than people give him credit for. He is such a good player, has had a really solid ACC season.
Senior came to set a screen for Farrell. Jogo. Coaches feel like he's been more confident lately. Made all 3 of his shots in their win Saturday night at Boston College. That was their 3rd win in the last 4 after a 7-game losing streak for the Irish. And Lonnie Walker makes it a 7-0 run for Miami.
Well, Lonnie Walker has not shot the ball well his last few games, but his last 11 games averaging about 15 a game. Had a 25-point game in there, a 23-point game. He is a big-time talent that is really starting to get comfortable.
Don Mooney, long from 3-point range. Mentioned he's been a streaky shooter and scorer, but for the year he's at 50% from 3-point range coming in, 30 out of 60. The pull-up by Walker.
He's feeling it. He is feeling it. He is going to be a great player. He's really good now, but he is just scratching the surface of how good he's going to be. And he scratches every ceiling with that do. Lonnie Walker, a super talented freshman, Reading, Pennsylvania. McDonald's All-American. He can shoot it. He can put it on the deck. And you make him put it on the deck, he can pull up and shoot over you. Big time.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Joseph A. Bank. The new tradition.
Bro is tremendously talented, but the ability to walk backwards and not run into anything was very impressive. Their big week for Kansas, that game with Oklahoma, and then a trip to Texas Tech as they try to wrap up that conference title.
In 3 games in a row now, Kansas has beaten West Virginia down double digits, and Jaquan Newton fell down guarding Matt Farrell, and Farrell took advantage of it. Notre Dame needed that out of the timeout. They have given up just about anything that Miami wants on offense. The Hurricanes 7 of 9 from the field. They're getting whatever they want, John.
That 3 by Farrell, his first shot of the night. They had 5 straight empty trips before the bucket. Elijah Burns off the bench. He's guarding the ball now, guarding Hewell, who traveled. And Austin Torres also in for Mike Bray.
Jaquan Newton, who's an excellent defender, just lost his balance, fell down. It wasn't necessarily a juke move he got.
Farrell made his first 9 threes against Boston College at Chestnut Hill Saturday. Finished 10 out of 12 from beyond the arc. So he's 11 for 13 now with his 1 for 1 tonight. He calls for a screen from Torres. Burns not much of a scorer, but a strong drive. He didn't finish, and Izundu the rebound.
Yeah, he needs to go up strong at the end. That drive was 95% strong. It was just the last 5. He didn't take it up strong to the rim.
Newton the miss, and then Farrell on the baseline, and the ball goes back to Miami with a full shot clock. It's been a Notre Dame team dealing with injuries all season long, and here's the latest. Rex Pfluger had a hard fall in their win at BC on Saturday night. Hurt his lower back. Tried to go tonight but could not. They're hopeful that he'll be able to play Saturday in their game against Wake Forest. They played most of the year now without Bonzie Colson. Torres, there's Colson on the bench. Conference preseason player of the year, who is averaging 21 points per game and 10.5 rebounds before he went down with a foot injury, but he's back working out. They hope they might have him back next week.
Notre Dame just can't catch a break. They're playing down 2 guys, but then with Pfluger down, it's 3, and 3 guys that can really play. That just puts so much pressure on them to keep everybody in the game. They can't foul. Boy, the fast break for Notre Dame has really been a big deal to get them back into it.
What a nice pass by Farrell and good ball movement back to Torres, and that's a bonus for Mike Bray and the Irish, as Austin Torres averages under 2 points per game, and that's why his teammates are all smiles on the bench.
Well, Austin Torres guards people, he rebounds, and he gets folks open. Well, you can't leave him open. He's a really good shooter.
That's Sam Wardenberg, the redshirt freshman, who's become much more of a factor in Jim Larenega's rotation the last couple of weeks. Oh, what a pass. Burns through the legs of the defender, and all of a sudden Torres is an offensive machine.
Austin Torres right now the second leading scorer for Notre Dame.
In this important game for both teams, a game of runs, it's the Irish out of the timeout making the move.
Torres is just playing hard. That's what he does.
Wardenberg, a good rebound. He's a rebounder and three-point shooter. Was shaky with the ball earlier in the year. That reduced his minutes. He's been better at avoiding turnovers. Offensive foul as Torres stands in and takes the charge.
Torres made him catch it off the lane. That was the key. Where he caught it, Austin Torres is doing a great job.
Now let's take a look at Mike Bray. He's in tonight's Infinity Coaches Corner. One of many coaches doing great work for charity. As a big tournament here every August, golf tournament, to raise a lot of money for Coaches versus Cancer. Men of seed teams in the NCAA tournament. That would be a record for the ACC, with Syracuse, as is always the case it seems, right there on the bubble. Joey Brackets joins us now live in the Infinity Bracket bunker. And Joe, nice to have you with us. Are they still bringing you nourishment every now and then? I'm sure they do. And a foul as John Moody went to the bucket. And Joe, of course, not on that list is Notre Dame. They've had to deal with the injuries all season long. They come into tonight 16-11 and 6-8 in the league. Mike Bray said today, when I squint, I can see the bubble. When you squint, can you see Notre Dame anywhere near the bubble?
Joe, what do they do with the committee? When I say they, the committee, what does the committee do with Notre Dame, assuming Bonzie Colson comes back for the last week of the season and plays in the ACC tournament? Because they were a top 10 team with Colson in the lineup.
John Mooney just called for the first foul of the night against Notre Dame, and the first free throw missed by Rodney Miller. A big body, doesn't play much, but he's in there because Dwan Huell has 2 fouls. Joe, how about Miami? They started off 10-0. Right now 18-8, 7-7 in the league. Losers of 3 in a row.
Well, Joe, one last question on Miami and their injury. With Bruce Brown being out, and he's such a good player for them, how does the committee evaluate Miami? Do they have to look at what Miami is without Bruce Brown, or do they get credit for what they've done with Brown in the lineup even though he's no longer there?
All right, Joe, thank you. As always, great information. And it certainly puts into stronger focus the importance of this game for both of these teams tonight. And we wish you well, Joey. We'll talk to you again soon. And Bruce Brown, we talked to Jim Larrañaga today. Their best rebounder, is leading the team in steals, outstanding perimeter defender. You know, he impacted their team in offense, defense, and in rebounding. And they're obviously much different team without him, nowhere near as good, and he's probably not going to be back. The earliest is mid-March, so they'd have to be in the tournament to have him back.
Yeah, he's changed. It's changed everything with him being out. Changed rotations, and you know, he's always put on the best opposing perimeter player. Bad pass by Vasiljevic.
Stolen by Gibbs, who powers to the bucket. Miami's gone more than 5 minutes now without a field goal. It's a 10-1 run for Notre Dame with free throws to come, and here's Allison.
You guys were talking about Miami's loss of Bruce Brown. Notre Dame knows what they're going through. Bonzie Colson suffering the same injury, also suffering that injury in practice, and the two of them are actually very good friends. They grew up in the same area just outside of Boston, and Bruce and him talked quite a bit. In fact, Bonzie was one of the first people to text him when he got injured, and Bruce was looking forward to having this conversation pregame. Bonzie's been giving him a lot of advice on him, just keep up with the cardio, and as we've seen with Bonzie, the number one thing, stay positive.
And Matt Farrell just turned the corner on Chris Lykes. And Lykes showed at 5'7", and I think 5'7" is generous.
Yes.
He's tiny. Just how quick and explosive he is to catch up. I mean, that's a difficult matchup. You would think it's going to be really difficult for Lykes because he's so small. I think it's difficult for Farrell because Lykes can get up underneath him. It's like trying to walk around your kitchen with a toddler under your feet. You know, it's just hard to keep your bearings all the time.
Mooney, the pass fake, and a blocking foul called on Mooney's drive, so the bucket does not count on the dunk by Gebbin. And we get to immediate timeout. Rodney Miller called for the foul. His first. Lonnie Walker has the honor of the 94 feet with Jay Billis when we come back.
And it is an honor.
Q-tip. The list goes on and on.
What's your favorite one?
Most likely the pineapple from Bruce. He kind of distilled that in my head.
Bruce Brown. What do you do for fun outside of basketball?
Watch a lot of Animal Planet, Planet Earth 2, The Hunt. You know, a lot of Discovery Channels.
Where'd your love of animals come from?
My father. You know, he always surrounded me by a lot of science and, you know, just about Earth itself.
Your favorite subject in school?
Science.
Science. It's science. Lonnie Walker, 94 feet.
Thank you. Has someone ever fell?
He asked if anybody's ever fallen doing this.
Well, I appreciate that he did it in one take. Since when I was your guest last week, I think we did about 15 takes.
Yeah, but it's worth it for all the Emmys we'll win.
No doubt.
With your fantastic content, all your great answers. What a sweet kid Lonnie Walker is. It's really a pleasure. I've seen him play a lot, but I didn't really get a chance to spend any time around him. He's really a sweet kid.
He missed a three. And the rebound run down by Jaquan Newton went by Farrell and then got fouled by Mooney. Jim Larrañaga was saying he is a legend in Reading, Pennsylvania. They went back there to play a game earlier this year against LaSalle. And so it wasn't just the kids coming up to take pictures and ask for autographs. McDonald's All-American, as Jay said, and one of the top rated players in the country coming out of high school a year ago. He was number 18 in ESPN's rankings of all the incoming freshmen.
Well, he's very highly thought of on the next level because of his ability to elevate. He can run, he can jump, he's very quick off the floor, and he's got a really good shooting stroke. He's already knocked down a couple of threes in this game, but he had a torn meniscus over the summer and sort of slowed him down entering his freshman year, but once he got into conference play, he's starting to get more comfortable and is really sort of learning all the different tools that he has and how to use it.
Likes up very tightly on Farrell. They let him bump around, and then finally Bert Smith says that's enough.
It was a reach in. If they had him corralled there, it was a great trap. And then Likes just reached in instead of forcing Matt Farrell to make a pass out that's not a straight line pass. Now with the foul, he goes to the free throw line. You got a really good shooter and scorer getting to score with no defense. You know, right now, Sean, the big guys from Miami are giving the Hurricanes next to nothing. No scoring, no presence in the paint. And Notre Dame is scoring almost at will in the paint. They've got 12 points in the paint off of drives, fast break, and the like.
Farrell makes both. Miami's gone 6 minutes 39 seconds without a field goal, and yet they're within 3. Notre Dame had that burst, but they've slowed down at the offensive end lately as well.
Everything being forced back into the screen.
Wardenberg, the New Zealander, for 3.
He can really shoot it. Coming into this game, he was 11 of 19 from three-point range coming into the year, starting to feel more comfortable. He had lost confidence earlier in the year, but the coaching staff just worked with him on, hey, just do what you do. Shoot threes, rebound, keep it simple.
They went 6 minutes and 55 seconds between field goals, and yet they're tied with 6.5 to go in the half. Gavin again. He's had a lot of easy buckets around the bucket because of the passing of his mates. That time it was Elijah Burns.
And there's really no rotations at all for Miami. Anytime there's penetration, they take away the initial penetration or at least stop them from getting to the basket. But then it's an easy pass for a simple score. There's got to be a rotation down to take that second pass away.
Under 6 minutes to go in the half. Down to 6 on the shot clock. Likes banks one home.
He may be small, but he can really play. He's a high school teammate of Wake Forest Bryant Crawford in high school. He went to Gonzaga Prep. That is a pretty darn good high school backcourt. You don't see many as good as that.
8 lead changes in this game already. And Burns called for a moving screen. His first foul. Here's Allison.
Sean, to a couple of Jay's points about how Miami is playing defensively, Coach Larinaga really on them for not trapping on the ball screen and allowing Notre Dame to drive to the basket. Also, when the ball is out of Farrell's hands, they have to be more disruptive. I talked to Chris Caputo, their assistant coach. He said, we're not doing a good job when they pass the ball of being more disruptive defensively.
That's a great point. Chris Caputo is the defensive coordinator. Jim Larinaga breaks up his staff. They've got an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, someone who's in charge of scouting. They have defined roles as assistants. Good pass.
And Huell fouled by Torres. His first foul and a chance for a three-point play for Miami.
That was Notre Dame getting caught in a rotation. They stayed with the ball too long, didn't pick up the roll man. And then Austin Torres there a little bit late. And sometimes you just have to give up the bucket. I mean, I know Torres wanted to challenge it, but he's just giving Dwan Huell a chance to get another point, feel better about himself when he really hadn't played well of late.
No. Huell was double figures in 13 of their first 16 games this season, and double digits in only 4 of the last 10.
Javon Newton almost got a great steal there. He does a really good job of seeing when a player spins. He's going to take it from him.
Huell fouled again and a chance for a three-point play.
Really nice pass by Chris Likes. And Dwan Huell, after doing nothing early on, all of a sudden coming down as the trailer, runs down court, makes the catch and finish. That was a really nice find by Likes. Likes have been starting with the last 6 games or so and had done a really good job. And sometimes, even when you're doing a good job, the coach wants to shake things up, and Get a better defensive unit in just to change the vibe.
Got a half of runs, and now it's Miami. He had a 9-0 run earlier. This one's 10-2. Gebbin up and under, having a great night. 12 points. His 5th game in a row in double figures, his career long.
Anthony Lawrence looked like he could have gotten there when Gebbin went to the other side of the basket to keep Huell from blocking the shot. Lawrence just wasn't alert to getting there.
Lawrence, dangerous pass. Farrell almost picked it off, and Walker swooped to the goal, but then short with the layup.
Doesn't miss many of those. The thing about Notre Dame, their movement without the ball and their ball movement is really good. They're going to get 4 or 5 passes and really make the defense move.
That's really been a hallmark of the Mike Brey era. Bad turnover there, and Likes lays it in.
That was a horrible turnover because it was a turnover for a touchdown. I mean, 1-on-0 is hard to defend, and if you're going to cough the ball up like that with a live ball turnover, that's a really bad pass by Jogo. And what was the upside from that pass?
Jim Larrañaga displeased with the defense of late, but he has to be thrilled with the job they're doing on Farrell. He's taken just 2 shots. That's a kick ball by Anthony Lawrence. It gets us to a timeout with 3:36 to go in the half.
Basketball. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, not to be dismissive, just very inattentive.
Was that Adnan Virk that has to deal with those two? Adnan is a good guy. You know, it's Prime Minister's Day.
In Canada?
No, it's President's Day here. But
yes.
And a nod to his Canadian heritage, I thought I'd say Prime Minister's Day.
But you're making that up.
I am making that up. But it sounds like a good day. I'm sure they have it in Canada.
Well, they have Canada Day at some point. They have Boxing Day. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think it involves actual fisticuffs. Elijah Burns. Wow, how about Jogo? Speaking of Canada, young man from the Toronto area, did a great job to keep it alive. Farrell, that might have been deflected by Walker. Miami now with a chance for a double-digit lead as Notre Dame has made just 1 3 in the half. It was the only field goal Farrell has so far.
A tough shot. Why would you take that? Javon Newton is too experienced, too good of a player to take that shot. No passes over a 6'10" guy right in your grill. Jim Larrañaga was saying today at practice he hopes his team plays against the Matt Farrell that played against North Carolina and not against the Matt Farrell that played against BC and had 37.
Ooh, Walker looked like he slipped a little bit on the way up, and he is not getting up and grabbing his left foot as Farrell scores at the other end.
He came out of his shoe.
Oh, let's hope that's all it is.
Yeah, probably scared him a little bit, but you know, guys don't tie their shoes anymore. How often do you see a guy step out of his shoe in a game?
Is that a rhetorical 3?
No, it happens all the time. I mean, he did twist his ankle there.
But back on his feet, and looks like he's all right.
I'm jealous of that hair. It's fantastic. Pineapple. What else did he say it was? The volcano. The Q-tip.
So I'm not the only one of your guests to whom you do not listen.
I'm sorry.
How many times do you do that 94 feet do you think about halfway down, you know what, this is kind of a dud, other than with me last week?
You know, the first one we ever did when we first came up with the idea, we did it with Jay Wright. And I asked Jay.
That was definitely a dud.
Yeah, no, it was in Charlottesville, Virginia. And I asked Jay, what kind of TV shows did you watch when you were a kid? And he goes, geez, let me think about it. That's a good question. We got like 80 feet, and I'm going, we got to do this again. You screwed it up right away, Mr. Wonderful. Everybody thinks you're so great. You screwed up my first 94 feet.
Somehow I think Jay Wright has recovered.
After that horrible indignity. Well, that was a nice job by Austin Torres to defend inside. He's given Mike Bray some really good minutes in this game.
Mooney out of the corner. They cannot find the range from three. How about that work with the ball by Likes and then into the body of Jogo.
What a play by Chris Likes. Not only the speed, but the smarts, knocking it away to himself, then knocking it away from Farrell, accepting the contact, going to the other side of the rim. And one. What a spectacular play by the little guy.
Chris Likes, he's been their leading scorer over the last 6 games. 7 points tonight. He's been in double figures in 5 of the last 6. This is the largest lead of the night for either side. With a minute to go in the half, Miami up by 9. Farrell, can he get it going? Got a hard time getting up shots. That's his 5th field goal attempt. His 4 threes, made 2 of the 4 threes. The Irish back within 6.
Great refusal of the ball screen there.
Lawrence on the setup by Newton. Rebound by Torres.
Can't give Farrell space here. Likes gave him too much space. If he drives it and takes a tough 2, that's a good result. And the best thing that Miami's done all game long is they have forced Notre Dame off the 3-point line. The Irish have really not hit. I think they have 2 threes. That's it.
You are correct. Jogo long with the 3. Mooney couldn't tip it out. Miami has time. Walker at the buzzer. Yes!
That was fantastic by Miami. Great awareness, and especially by Anthony Lawrence. That's how you end a half. With a good defensive possession. Nobody panics. Instead of just throwing one up early, Anthony Lawrence made a great pass, and Lonnie Walker caught it right away. That's excellent.
Here's Allison with Jim Larrañaga.
Thank you very much, Coach Larrañaga. You dove on the floor during your pregame speech, inspiring your team to do the same. How do you think they've responded?
How did you know that, Allison? You got all the inside scoop. Well, you know, Notre Dame plays very hard, and they're very good at taking charges and diving for loose balls. We just wanted to send the message that we're good at that as well. I wanted our players to know you need to get on the floor and take charges as well.
All right, Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you.
His team came out hot. They were ahead 16-8 to start the game, and they closed the half on a 21-9 run. 38-29.
TJ Gibbs isn't putting points on the board.
Problem, the clock did not start. So a moment ago, here's Allison with Mike Bray.
Coach Bray, I know this team is no stranger to missing key players. What's been the impact of not having Rex Pfluger so far?
Well, we could use one more guard tonight, but the way it is, transition D is really hurting us. You know, we've turned it over, taken some bad shots to help them leak out a little bit, and we can't flow very well offensively. I think you got to give Miami a lot of credit defensively. We played well in second halves here. We've gotten into a rhythm. We're going to need a good one tonight.
How do you get more flow offensively?
Hopefully we can get some stops and run and not take the ball out of bounds, get down the floor a little bit. I wish we could drive it a little more. We got to the bonus quick, but we're going to have one of those magical second halves.
Good luck with that. Thanks, Mike.
His team did get a stop to open the half.
So far, having Jaquan Newton on Matt Farrell has worked very nicely for Miami. A little more size than if Chris Likes were guarding him.
Gibbs underneath for Gebbin. That's what the start of the game looked like on the offensive end for Notre Dame.
I think Jim Larrañaga's got to be very upset that TJ Gibbs so easily split a double team. He went right in between the 2 defenders for Miami, and you got to be shoulder to shoulder on those doubles. That put him into rotation right away, gave up an easy basket to start the second half.
Walker, trouble on the dribble as he was guarded by Gibbs, and then a big pileup and a held ball. It'll go over to Notre Dame.
One thing to get stops, it's even better to get consecutive stops. That's how you got to run. But here, a little trap off the handoff, and Gibbs able to split that trap with ease and get it off to John Mooney for the score. And you know that Larrañaga's got to be very upset with that because he's trying to get his team to have more of a defensive mindset. They got through 20 minutes and did a really good job defensively and then gave up something easy.
Jogo, strong drive, and the score.
Well, that's 2 layups in a row that Miami's given up. That was just off a simple shot fake, and the Red Sea opened up, and he was able to get, that must have been a 20-foot drive with nobody in an orange shirt coming over to stop it.
First bucket for Jogo. Now 1 for 5 from the floor. Huell, the shorty. And they wave off the bucket for an offensive foul as Huell charges into Mooney.
3 possessions, 3 stops for Notre Dame. And watch on this skip pass. Here's the shot fake. And that's got to be a 20-foot drive. And Izundu didn't even come over to stop it. I mean, Jogo got all the way to the bucket. But what a start for Notre Dame. If they can get a score here, all of a sudden this game looks awfully different.
Mooney, can he get it going? Off with a 3. Rebound down to Anthony Lawrence. The Canes trying to run. Newton. Farrell went down without a whistle, and it's a 3 for Lonnie Walker from the corner.
Farrell just took a charge that went uncalled. That's unusual because officials usually love to call charges. And he had good position. The ball was given up, but the momentum went right into him.
Kevin, boy, some contact there and a play on as he was guarded by Ibuka Zundu.
Well, I guess it worked out for both sides. Neither charge was called.
And Huell, nice move to the basket.
Mooney was right there to take a charge and stepped out of the way. That's really surprising.
I mentioned Huell had a great start this year. Has tailed off lately. Jim Larrañaga thinks that part of it is he works too hard. He's always in the gym, extra practice time, and they've encouraged him to make sure he gets rest and perhaps even a little less time in the gym.
Yeah, rest and recovery. He'd work out 3-4 times a day. That's something you've never been accused of, is working too hard.
That would be true. There's no reason to prepare really hard for these when I'm in the broadcasting equivalent of the witness protection program.
Great rebound
by your
Izundu.
side. Izundu, just when it looked like Notre Dame was really going to tighten it up, the lead is 10 for Miami, the largest lead of the night.
The Irish just haven't been able to sustain it, and credit to Miami. They took a punch to start the second half and responded positively on the road. Good pass.
Deep 3 for Farrell, and good position by Jogo, and he tipped it in on the second try.
Nikola Jogo was the only Notre Dame player around that rebound, and he was the only one that got a hand on it. 2-3 zone now by Notre Dame. Switch things up a little bit. You get into the middle of that, and you're going to have something good. Anthony Lawrence can operate in the middle of that zone, make some plays. He's an excellent passer.
The shot clock running out. Newton had to take it, didn't make it. Farrell the rebound, numbers on the break. Gibbs a quick jack for 3.
What a great pass ahead by Matt Farrell. And that's the kind of play that can get TJ Gibbs going.
His first points of the night. He averages 16 points per game. That got the crowd back into it. Walker tried to throw it down over Gebben and missed. Shot clock at 5. Newton seems to be alert to that. Behind the back dribble, tough shot, and he made it.
Juan Newton averaged over 13 points per game last season. He has been a very good player in the ACC for 4 years. But this year he's not been able to find a rhythm, both offensively or defensively. But he is having a heck of a game in this one.
Ooh, Mooney almost traveled, just did. Hold his foot. Gebben didn't get the bounce, and a rebound for DeJuan Huell, the sophomore from Miami, another highly touted player coming out of high school, Miami Norland. McDonald's All-American.
Jogo did a nice job coming off that fade screen by Lawrence and getting to the ball.
Izundu too strong. It got tapped out to Jogo. Nicely off to Gibbs for the lay-in.
Notre Dame is turning defense into offense. And Miami has to be a little more cognizant of defensive balance. Getting too many guys under the free throw line and not able to get back.
Walker for three, a little bit long. Out of bounds to Notre Dame. That'll take us to immediate timeout. Long stretch there of continuous action. There were some subs waiting to get in. Grateful for the media break.
Well, Notre Dame out of that 2-3 zone. Anthony Lawrence knocks it back, and that went right into the hands of Jogo and TJ Gibbs. Maybe a little extra one there.
Big move from last week to this, up 7 spots. Virginia, Michigan State, Villanova, Xavier, and Duke. To vote, go to facebook.com/SportsCenter.
I wouldn't fear any of them because you would be playing any one of them in the Elite Eight. So I think it would be awesome.
Maybe we should clear the questions with you ahead of time. So, you know, just reject them out of hand. I would say your alma mater, Duke, because I do echo what many believe, that they have the most talented team in the country. Gibbs, an air ball, but right there in the right place was Austin Torres, and the Notre Dame moms resplendent. Love that one, including Austin's mom, Brenda, was a terrific soccer player here at Notre Dame.
That was not a shot. That was a Derek Wittenberg pass. I think he should get an assist for that.
Largest lead for Miami was 10. It's now 3. Vasilovic buries a 3. Every time they need a response, they get it. And that's the first bucket of the night for the sophomore from Melbourne, Australia.
Vasilovic has range. His last 7 games, 20 of 47 from 3. It's 43%. And that was a deep one. Good job by Huell to cut that off.
Ooh, Burns. It looked like a good pass that Torres couldn't handle. Last touched by Miami. Notre Dame will have just 4 seconds to shoot after the media timeout.
Didn't we just have one?
We did. Got to pay your salary. It's not easy.
Vasilovic. Deep. We just had a timeout.
Farrell, mother of Matt, Rebecca Pfluger, is a very creative lady. Mrs. Torres, you can't really see it right now, but she has a chain around her neck, and it is a takeoff of the Miami football turnover chain. You can see a better look at it now. And whenever Miami turns the ball over tonight, the moms have been passing the turnover chain up and down the row. Those Miami fans don't really like it. Remember, the young man on the left with the chain ran into Mr. Farrell in the hallway of the building I happened to walk by when it happened, and they had a conversation about who had the better turnover chain.
That thing has really hit home with a lot of people. That was a good idea Mark Richt had.
Yeah, really one of the great stories of college football this year. Miami football, and they had a lot of fun with the turnover chain. They're enjoying the performance of Chris Likes. His 3 puts the lead back to 6 for the Hurricanes with 11.5 minutes to go.
The only other guy I can think of that's as good as Chris Likes that's under 5'10" is Chris Clemens of Campbell, who's a big-time player.
Gevin fouled, and a chance for 3.
He's catching it with 2 feet in the paint. And Martinez Gevin, when he catches it that low, he is going to try to get to that left shoulder to shoot the right-handed jump hook. That's a real go-to move that he has. But he just bulled his way into the lane, 2 feet in the paint. And you just can't let him get to that left shoulder. You have to force him the other way.
He's the leading free throw shooter on their team, on a good free throw shooting team. Typical Mike Bray player. Guy who's gotten consistently better over his time here in South Bend.
And he's really rebounded at such a high rate this year. Been a double-figure rebounder for most of the ACC season.
Likes off the penetration. The 3 wouldn't go for Sam Wardenberg out of the corner.
He had a wide open look, and Notre Dame really doing a good job on the glass.
And that's the tie as Farrell buries a three.
I think Jim Larrañaga wants a timeout here.
Mother Michelle, Dad Bob, Brother Bo right behind, enjoying Matt Farrell's performance. That's his first field goal since just under a minute remained in the first half.
Just using that little drag screen, and Matt Farrell, you know he can get hot in a hurry.
Fieldhouse, that's next on ESPN and the ESPN app. Big Monday is always presented by Joseph A. Bank, Texas Tech and Kansas. Right there at the top of the Big 12 in Oklahoma, Jay, not even in the top 25 in the country. This week, they are plummeting.
Well, they've got to be concerned about making the NCAA tournament before anything. And Oklahoma is in desperate need of a win. It'll be awfully difficult to get one tonight at Allen Fieldhouse, especially with Kansas smelling yet another Big 12 title.
Jogo for three. And that's the first lead for Notre Dame since it was 22-20 with 5:56 left in the first half.
Notre Dame playing with much more verve in this second half. The ball is moving, and the ball's not moving on the Miami end. Notre Dame back to man as they have for the last couple possessions.
Great screen by Izundu, but Walker's shot way short. Then Izundu lost it on the way back up. It's Jaquan Newton bouncing to the bucket, and he'll go to the line for two.
Well, it took a broken play for Miami to get something near the basket. You know, on the possession before Jogo hit that three for Notre Dame, Anthony Lawrence got a switch and had Martinez Gebbin on him and just pulled up for a long three instead of just driving that matchup. And Lawrence is a guy that really needs to give more to Miami. He's a very skilled, very good player that does so many different things, but he's playing in his first game this year at the three position. He's been very successful at the four, but maybe a little bit uncomfortable at the three.
And that was a concern for Jim Larrañaga. Allison chronicled earlier the lineup changes he made. But that was one of his concerns, that the move of Lawrence may not be a positive. Boy, an awful lot of bumping with Gibbs and Likes. Gebbin underneath, and he scores again.
Well, TJ Gibbs was smart to keep going into the contact from Chris Likes. Well, Likes is a tough kid. He's fun to watch.
This is the largest lead of the night for Notre Dame. They've hit their last 6 shots from the floor. Good pass by Lawrence, and the finish underneath by Ibuka Izundu.
That's what Lawrence is, where he's so good. He's such a skilled basketball player at his size, one of the best passers on this Miami team.
Gibbs went down, lost the ball, and then a whistle, contact, and an offensive foul. Ted Valentine looked at John Higgins. They both blew the whistle. Just wanted to make sure they both had the same call, and they did. A charge on Anthony Lawrence.
I thought Ted Valentine came in and called a walk. I mean, it was a charge, but what Ted Valentine does, and I actually love this, he likes to call a walk there because,
and that's what they call it.
It doesn't lay a foul on somebody, and that I find to be good officiating, frankly. But because I think I'm not a fan of a charge at midcourt.
Is this your annual President's Day compliment of the officiating?
No, the officials do a great job, but when they do it wrong, you have to point it out.
Gibbs the floater.
What a difference when TJ Gibbs is aggressive offensively. In the first half he was not. In the second half he is. And Notre Dame, as a result, has the lead.
7 points for TJ Gibbs, all of them here in the second half. Notre Dame was down 9 at the break.
Too much dribble for Miami, not enough pass.
And as you said, not enough movement of the ball inside. They get it inside there, and Ibuka Izundu scores again.
Zundu's made some nice moves when he's received the ball inside. And Notre Dame is passing and moving more. Miami dribbling more.
Burns rescued the Farrell pass that got deflected en route. Under 8 minutes to go. Little roll. Torres, nice pass. Burns count the bucket, and a chance for a 3-point play. Izundu quite demonstrative in arguing the call. John Higgins pointing into the restricted area.
The ball is moving, the Irish are moving, and the meter is moving. Terrific pass by Austin Torres off the pick and roll. And the rotation couldn't get to Bonzi's liking it. The Golden Girls now Bonzi.
Longer they were last year. Gotta pay for your salary.
All right, Adnan, thank you. Elijah Burns, the free throw shooter for Notre Dame. A swish and a 5-point lead for the Irish. Mike Bray said to Allison Williams at the half, I hope we have another magical second half in us. It might be. We're a team trying to get on to the NCAA tournament bubble. And Allison, you had a chance to eavesdrop on the huddle.
Yeah, guys, during that timeout, Mike Bray telling his guys it's not complicated. Keep doing what you're doing with the ball movement. And he's looking for a kill, which is 3 stops in a row, the ability to get out and run. And also of note, the players very vocal. Matt Farrell with a lot to say. Austin Torres trying to fire up the guys for every rebound. You can see the senior leadership on this team.
Austin Torres has had one of the best games of his Irish career. He has 8 points for Coach Bray tonight.
Miami's given up almost 75% in this second half. And they need to get some stops. They got one off the offensive foul right there. But Miami has not. That's got to drive Jim Larinaga crazy. They talked about having a defensive mindset, what he was telling Allison Williams, and they have not had that at all in the second half.
Foul was on Burns, his second.
Notre Dame sticking with man-to-man. I think Anthony Lawrence has to get involved. He's got Jogo guarding him. Just post him up.
Miami's refound the offense tonight. They were averaging 58 points per game during their 3-game losing streak they brought to South Bend. They have 59 already tonight, but they're down by 3. Shot clock at 4. Sam Wardenburg ties it up.
Man, can he shoot it? That was a good fake just to get a little bit of space. He shoots a really good ball every time he lets it go. You think it's going in because it does go in.
Miami 8 out of 16 from 3-point range. And that time Lawrence said, we're not going to let you throw it into Gebbin again.
That was a really good rotation across to pick up the roll man off that pick and roll situation.
Newton into the corner for Walker. Another 3. He clearly likes that left corner.
Miami's been opportunistic. When Notre Dame has made a mistake, Miami has capitalized on it for the most part.
A terrific freshman year, 3 times the ACC Rookie of the Week. Only Marvin Bagley of Duke has been honored with that award more often, 6 times. Strong drive by Jogo, but he couldn't finish. And now Miami trying to open up some space in this back and forth game. Nice pass by Newton, then Izundu for Lawrence. Tried to get it back to Izundu and rescued by Wardenburg.
I was surprised Izundu didn't take that shot. It was right next to the basket instead of kicking it out. That short clock. Better get it up quick.
1 on the clock. Walker over Gebbin.
He has got so much ability. And what an answer by Miami. They were down, and now Mike Bray wants to talk it over.
Down by 5. They've scored 10 in a row. They're up by 5 with under 5 minutes to go.
They were getting drubbed. They were down 27 at one point. I think if I remember right, they were down 22 at half. And not only wound up winning the game, but they had held Northwestern to just 4 points in the first 15 minutes of the second half. I think by the end of this season, Michigan State will be the #1 team, and they'll be a #1 seed. And I was stunned that the committee had them 11th in that bracket reveal a week ago. Just stunned.
Crowd very quiet here now as Miami's gone on this run. Shot clock down to 4 as Zundu swatted the shot of Gebben out of bounds.
Zundu has had very good minutes in this game at both ends of the floor. And he can really get up quickly and hang when he's up there.
Zundu has 10 points in the game. Jogo had to shoot it with the clock expiring.
Zundu impacted that.
And a foul on Gebben as Lawrence went to the bucket. That's 2 fouls on Martinez Gebben.
It's amazing. Whenever a shot comes out of the corner, if it's missed, you got to be really careful with defensive balance because so many Notre Dame players were hugging up against the baseline. That's just an opportunity for a run out. And that's exactly what Miami got on the other end.
So Anthony Lawrence, 67% from the line for the year. Junior from St. Petersburg. His dad, Anthony Sr., played for Miami in the early 90s, was his high school coach. Dad played pro overseas.
The last 4 games coming into this one, Lawrence has not been scoring. He had 25 points and 13 boards against Virginia Tech. In the last 4 games, he's only averaging about 4 or 5 points a game. He's a much better player. He's just got to keep being aggressive offensively.
In the last 2 games, he had 2 points against Virginia last Tuesday, and he had 4 in the loss to Syracuse and Coral Gables on Saturday. Farrell lost the ball.
There's nowhere to go.
3 on 2. Here's a 3. That's short from Lawrence, and a rebounding foul against the Canes on Wardenberg. Intermediate timeout. 3:55 to go. Miami looking for a big win on the road. ESPN and the ESPN app.
If it's confidential, why are we telling everybody?
I think the players were asked questions without their identities being revealed.
That's anonymous. It's not confidential.
That's sort of why I asked the question. Oh, a Notre Dame turnover.
That's their 12th turnover. Notre Dame only averages about 9 turnovers a game, one of the lowest turnover teams in the country. And those turnovers have led to a good number of Miami points. And of course, when you turn it over, you don't get a shot, you don't get a chance to rack up a foul or a chance for an offensive rebound. But it's been the advantage situations Miami has received off those turnovers that have been so hurtful to Notre Dame.
And Newton, a friendly bounce. That's a 13-0 run for Miami after Notre Dame took the 5-point lead. And then Zundu continues his big night, rejecting Jogo at the bucket.
It was right at the square. Zundu has some hops. Blocked a jump shot in the corner, then saved a bucket right there.
Under 3 minutes to go. Miami trying to end a 3-game losing streak. They haven't lost 4 in a row since 2011. Lawrence couldn't finish. Notre Dame scoreless for 5 minutes. Still scoreless. Farrell the miss. Burns had good position for the rebound, and he was fouled by Sam Wardenberg.
Well, Nikola Jogo had an angle to the basket, just laying it in. Right before it hit the backboard, Zundu just wiped it away with his left hand. Just a spectacular block. He's made so many really good plays in this game at both ends of the floor. Used some fakes, had some good finishes. Miami's really paid great attention to Matt Farrell. Has not allowed him to get open shots.
John Mooney, a 3 from the corner. They absolutely had to have that. 5 minutes 20 seconds without a field goal for the Fighting Irish. Wednesday, an ACC Sonic blockbuster doubleheader. Jay will be back at work. First, it's North Carolina at the Harvard of Central New York, Syracuse University. From the Carrier Dome, that's at 7. And when that's over, the house that Jay Billis built, Cameron Indoor Stadium, hosting Louisville and Duke. Duke now number 5. Both games are on ESPN and the ESPN app. Virginia, 3-game lead. They're on their way to the regular season conference championship. But it is going to be quite a week in Brooklyn.
It'll be really fun. So many good teams and different styles. And North Carolina, when North Carolina beat Duke on February 8th, I think the Tar Heels really learned that they had another gear, could play much harder than they were playing. And Duke over the last 3 games, even with Marvin Bagley III, the leading scorer and rebounder in the ACC, the freshman, with him out the last 3 games, I think Duke's really found something. They moved Grayson Allen more to the point. He's been averaging over 23 points per game his last 3. And they're playing exclusively zone now. And they look really comfortable. And certainly they've been much harder to score upon the last 3 games.
Well, that'll be a terrific doubleheader Wednesday night, and still more to come on Big Monday. Oklahoma and Kansas next. Shot out of the corner, win and go. What a rebound by Izundu, and the putback for Miami.
Took it right out of the hands of Martinez Gebben, who seemed like he had that ball, and Izundu with not only great hands but great hops to go get it, take it away from him. A big time rebound and stick back.
12 and 7 for Izundu, who averages 4.5 and 3.5 for the year. The runner goes to TJ Gibbs, and Mike Bray uses another timeout with 1:42 to go, and Miami leading by 5.
This is a big time rebound by Ibuka Izundu. After the shot goes up from the corner, Martinez Gebben, or no, that was Mooney. Mooney had it with both hands. I thought that was Gebben. That was Mooney, just taken right away from him by Ibuka Izundu. I mean, look, he's got that ball, and then, boy, that's really strong hands and great concentration by Izundu, and then goes back up to put it in again. Izundu, what, has 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, a couple of block shots. It's a heck of a ball game.
He's only missed 1 shot. His career high is 16 points. He has 12 right now.
He is certainly justifying the start. And Jim Larrañaga told you, me, Allison Williams today at practice that he was worried about this lineup. It hadn't played a single minute together, but he thought with it being older, more experienced, bigger, it could cause Notre Dame some problems.
Notre Dame bringing full court pressure now. Newton, experienced guard, gets it over to Izundu, and now they'll kill some clock.
Notre Dame has a couple fouls to give. They don't want to give a foul at the end of the clock, but they're not going to give up a bucket either.
7 to shoot. Wardenberg way short. Off the floor to Torres. Notre Dame down by 5. 1:10 to go.
That was not a good shot by Wardenberg.
Farrell a 3.
It is absolutely amazing. Take a bad one on one end and give up an open one on the other.
Yeah, they've made it so hard for Farrell to get up shots tonight, and then in a huge situation, he's the last guy you want to let shoot, especially a 3. And he used a screen, to the delight of his folks, to walk into an open 3.
Notre Dame is like a weed. You know, you can't kill them. They're 3 players down, and Matt Farrell just gets a little brush in transition. He's got 3 guys around him and pulls up from well over 20 feet.
Well, we have a moment. Let's send you back to the studio. Yeah, it should be a terrific finish. Notre Dame still without DJ Harvey. They thought they were going to get him back Saturday for Boston College, but he re-injured his knee. His freshman season probably over. Rex Pfluger, late scratch today, couldn't go with a back injury. Bonzie Colson, preseason ACC player, they're still out, perhaps back for senior day next week. And for the ACC tournament, if they get him back, they could do some serious damage. Miami trying to get it in. Izundu in a tough spot with Torres right up on him. Izundu very nearly traveled and finally gets rescued by Newton. Underneath it goes Lawrence, and a foul.
That was all because Jaquan Newton was able to split the trap at half court. Boy, Notre Dame had Miami completely bottled up, but after this little handoff, he split the trap between Torres and Farrell. That meant that Burns had to help up, and a little drop-off pass to Anthony Lawrence, and all of a sudden it's a potential three-point play. Shoulder to shoulder on the trap could be the difference between winning and losing. It's that close a call.
Lawrence makes the free throw. Miami by 5, 45 seconds to go.
Miami has a foul to give.
Good pass underneath. Gebbin fouled. Miami players didn't think so, but Ted Valentine did.
Well, it's just the lateness of the call that they probably reacted to. I think Valentine was waiting to see if it went in. It wouldn't have been. I don't think he would have called this if the shot went in. Boy, how did that pass get through? Very little contact.
Foul on Lawrence. This is his first. Gebbin. Boy, it is as silent as it can be when Notre Dame shoots a free throw.
Gebbin made some huge free throws in Maui when he was fouled on that out of bounds underneath against Wichita State when the fully healthy Irish won the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. And I don't know if you know this, Sean, but I love Maui. I love my bike.
People do not know that you do some excellent invitations. You did a couple for us this afternoon. One possession game. About 8 seconds difference between the game clock and the shot clock.
2-3 zone. They may go man out of this toward the end. A 2-3 zone to start.
I like the Notre Dame decision to play it out and not foul here.
Yeah, but it's not a lot of margin for error. They got to get a stop.
And then they'll have very little time, and they'll have to get a three. Newton in the middle of the lane, high arcing floater. No! Big rebound and score! And the foul! What a night for Ibuka Izundu.
He has made big play after big play. And Mike Bray has to be thinking right now, if I had Bonzie Colson in there, that would have been our ball. But a great job. Nobody blocked out because the middle of the zone, Martinez Gebbin had to help on the shot. So he helped up, and that left the two wings unable to get a box out.
And the two freshmen, Jogo and Mooney. Free throw is missed. Gibbs a heave. They had more time than that. Gibbs.
Oh, why did they foul? Why foul there? Ibuka Izundu had a whale of a second half.
He sure did, and a terrific night. 14 and 8 for Miami, which is about to get a huge road win. Gibbs the free throw.
Even though in that 3-game losing streak that Miami played Virginia and Syracuse, those are difficult games. Well, you don't want to get into a 4-game slide. That is tough stuff to be able to overcome.
Well, Notre Dame needs the steal and the three, and they have a foul to give. So even if they wanted to foul immediately and put Miami on the line, it wouldn't put them on the line. Lawrence gets it in, and Walker fouled with 2.5 to go. So they'll inbound it again.
That's one of those where on the initial one you might want to just foul before it gets in.
Right. They get it into Likes, and they did well to catch him as quick as he is. Farrell ran into Torres. They both appear to be fine. The Notre Dame team that came in with momentum, having won 3 out of 4. This will be a very disappointing loss.
Well, it's one thing to play with 2 guys down. They played a long time without Bonzie Colson, and DJ Harvey's been out for a number of games now. But when you lose Rex Pfluger, and all of a sudden you're down 3 guys that play significant minutes, especially Mike Bray never took Rex Pfluger out, and he played big minutes. That's a lot to overcome, and yet another game where Notre Dame has fought valiantly and just a bucket short.
Desperation heave off the mark. And Miami sends Matt Farrell, Mike Bray, and the Irish down to defeat. 77-74 the final. Miami's 19th win overall. They go to 8-7 in the conference. Mike Bray has been saying his goal for his team was to get to 8-10 at the end of the regular season in conference play. and perhaps do some damage in Brooklyn and make it a tough decision for the NCAA tournament committee. But to try to get to 8-10, Jay, this was one that they had to have.
Yeah, you got to get your home games, and I know how frustrating it has to be, but Miami one step closer to the NCAA tournament, and Notre Dame needs Monzie Colson back by the time they get to Brooklyn.
Here's Allison Williams.